Well, it's the evening of July 2nd, 2025. We're about 6 days into the new moon, almost completing the first quarter. It is not the best of nights nor the worst of nights. We have high, thin clouds, and of course, we are looking at a globular cluster. I'm going to give you the NGC information on NGC 6205. Particular globular cluster is located in Hercules. Let's have a zoom in on it. I've set the histogram up for what I would call the aesthetic view. 60% zoom may be a bit much. And I will endeavor to center it up on the screen. Anyway, NGC 6205 is a globular cluster in Hercules. Magnitude 5.8, 23.2 arc minutes in size, almost as large as the moon, which is about 30 arc minutes, but varies. The brightest stars in NGC 6205 are magnitude 11.9. It's a class 5, which means on the denser side of the 1 to the 12 scale, 23,000 light years distant, with a right ascension of 16 hours, 41 minutes, 41 seconds, and a declination of plus 36 degrees, 27 minutes, 35 seconds. Unfortunately, we're getting a bit of aperture block because at this point, Messier 92 is probably just a little bit before culmination, but the scope is looking to the east. Here we are having a faintish view of NGC 6207, a galaxy in Hercules, not located much further than about half a moon's width away from Messier 13. This galaxy is 11.6 magnitude 3 by 1.2 arc minutes, so it should be pretty much an oblate presentation. Spiral class C, 38 million light years distant, means this one's probably no more than 30,000 light years in diameter. Let us set the histogram up for a little brighter view so we can get more sense of the galaxy's extension. So we're trying to balance out the aesthetics with any detail we can make out. It's got a stellar core, but which rapidly dissolves into extended spiral arms. We know we can get a better view if we zoom in. So you can see now at about, this would be somewhere around 300x, so we're getting quite a bit of extension, but we've lost a good view. Let's drop back to about 150x, 50% on this f8 150 millimeter. We're also getting some partial block of the aperture, so we could be getting a better view if we were either facing the west or the scope was looking further to the east. So once again, like Messier 13, approaching culmination to the middle third of the sky, almost overhead. We've now turned up NGC 6239, another galaxy in Hercules, a bit fainter by about 1.3 magnitudes. This one is magnitude 12.4, smaller 2.4 by 1.1 arc minutes, spiral with a bar in a lowercase b, so twice removed from lenticular. 46 million light years distant puts this at about 30,000 light years in diameter as well. We're right ascension 16 hours, 50 minutes, 5 seconds, and a declination of plus 42 degrees, 44 minutes, and 21 seconds. Let's do some zoomage on this. The view is better at 150x or 50% zoom. We're seeing a faintish core region with extensions going off to the lower left and upper right. Not sure how well oriented the scope is, but I assume that's pretty much the north is to the left. If it tracks well enough, north is to the left, south is to the right. I'll have to check this out later. West above and east below. Here, vaguely seen is another galaxy in Hercules, NGC 6243, magnitude 14.1, 1 by 0.4 arcminutes, spiral with a lowercase a. Once removed from lenticular, should have a fairly brightish core with well-developed extensions. This galaxy is located 479 million light years distant, meaning it's about 160,000 light years in diameter, and it is brighter than Messier 31 would be at the same distance, and Messier 31 is a class S3, SC, like our own galaxy, the Milky Way. The galaxy is vaguely visible here in 5-second exposures. We can do some zoomage to see if it'll come out a little better, and yes, it does reveal itself a little bit more obviously on the screen. This is an adventitious study. I was just scrolling down through the Gemini 2 handset and came across it. Hey, here we have another globular cluster in Hercules, NGC 6341, otherwise known as Messier 92, magnitude 6.5, about half the size of M13 at 11.2 arcminutes. Its brightest stars are 12.1, which gives it about a 5.6 magnitude delta between the brightest and the collective magnitude of the globular cluster as a whole. It's a class 4, so slightly more condensed than Messier 13. Also about the same distance, 26,000 light years. So these globular clusters are probably within 5,000 light years of each other. We're at right ascension 17 hours, 17 minutes, 7 seconds with a declination of plus 43 degrees, 8 minutes and 11 seconds. We are using 5-second exposures. We're getting partially blocked by the roof try. But let's go ahead and do a bit of a zoom in to the most desired magnification, which is about 150x for virtually all studies. Our second adventitious study for the evening is NGC 6343. This is a faintish galaxy, fainter than the last. And we can vaguely make out something that suggests it right there. It's about 1 by 1 arcminute in size. I'm going to do a bit of a zoom in. Let's see what we get. Yeah, I do believe there's a galaxy midfield there. It's magnitude 14.5, 1.1 by 1.1 arcminute face on. Considered a compact galaxy, which means pretty globular-esque. They haven't quite classified it as elliptical, but what we would look at on this is the blue-violet versus the visual light magnitude. And if it's an elliptical, it'll be somewhere around magnitude 1.1. Magnitude 14.5 attribution could be due to blue-violet or visual light. I usually have to look that up to get it straight. The galaxy is 379 million light years distant, which puts it about 100,000 light years in diameter. Right ascension, 17 hours, 17 minutes, 16 seconds, plus a declination of 41 degrees, 03 minutes, and 09 seconds. It's possible we're getting a little bit of scope blockage, but it's pretty well seeing all that we can see from where I can tell using with the eyes, looking at the scope. I'm not going to go ahead and adjust the histogram. This is a pretty fair view, if indeed it is a 14.5 magnitude galaxy on an evening where the moon is approaching the end of the first quarter and there are high, thin clouds. Okay, we've now skipped into Lyra, the lyre or harp, for NGC 6703, and if you look around the screen, you can pretty much make out the galaxy, which is located right about there. It's magnitude 11.3, 2.7 by 2.5 arcminutes, lenticular spiral, 103 million light years distant, makes it about 80,000 light years in diameter, has a right ascension of 18 hours, 47 minutes, 18 seconds, and a declination of plus 45 degrees, 33 minutes, and 2 seconds. That plus 45 is quite feasible without aperture block due to the fact that we have now skipped to 18 hours 47 from about 1730, which means we're looking more to the east and we have less of a blockage. Why don't we go ahead and zoom a little bit on this sweetie? Yeah, you can basically tell that it's either an elliptical or a lenticular. Bright core fading out to all directions, so very globular-esque face-on lenticular spiral. Once again, check that BV versus visual delta, and that should give you an idea whether it's an elliptical with a 1.5 magnitude delta or it is a lenticular with about a 1.0 delta between blue-violet and visual light. Hey, here we are having a view of a beautiful globular cluster, rather faintish, but it's well positioned in an excellent star field. NGC 6779 globular cluster in Lyra, barely. Magnitude 8.3, 5 arc minutes in size with its brightest stars of magnitude 13, given the fact that it's 8.3. It's fairly low delta, which tells you it's not a very compact galaxy. It's a class X or 10 of 12. Galaxy globular cluster. It is 32,000 light years distant, has a right ascension of 19 hours, 16 minutes, 35 seconds, and a declination of plus 30 degrees, 11 minutes, and 1 second. It's a little out of position for zooming, but I think I should be able to center it up somewhat. And there we go. I had to redo the mount collimation tonight because for several nights last night and this night, I've had problems with it completely misdirecting the optical tube assembly. Hopefully I've corrected now. One thing you should notice is that the thumbprint and the smile that was down here in the previous video is not present on the screen. I did examine the optical train. There were no smudges whatsoever. I have no idea where those anomalies came from in image quality. All right, what we're looking for here is an open cluster in Lyra, NGC 6791, magnitude 9.5, some 16 arc minutes in size with 30 stars, the brightest of which are magnitude 13. There does appear to be a bit of a cluster of stars here. These would be 13th magnitude stars, but boy, there's a lot of disparate magnitudes in this cluster. I don't think I'm going to do any zoom on it. I don't think it'll help, but we can go ahead and give it a shot. Maybe it does bring it out a little bit more. Very faint stars. I'd say most of these are in the 14th, 15th magnitude range with a couple of those 13th magnitude stars. It is considered a class 2-3. 2 is in Latin numerals, which means basically, I believe that means fairly spread out, but reasonably condensed, middling, and class 3 meaning variety of different magnitudes. So it's in star magnitudes. I'll have to verify that. It's been a while since I've checked that particular significator on the Gemini 2 screen. We're at right ascension, 19 hours, 20 minutes, 53 seconds, plus 37 degrees, 46 minutes, and 11 seconds. We're going to have 2 more views tonight because I'm running out of time and I'm afraid the snipping tool is going to truncate this video. And if it does, carpe noctem. Thought we'd have a look at NGC 6888, which I've had some fabulous views previously through the Rev2 system, operating at 2.5 second exposure, but I was using a nebula filter at the time. I just adjusted the histogram, and I have not been able to bring it out. It's a bit early in the season to be looking into Cygnus, the swan, but we're going ahead anyway. What I'll probably do is give you some data on it first. NGC 6888, Nebula in Cygnus, magnitude 10, 20 by 10 arc minutes, and it's an emissive type, 4,800 light years distance. Right ascension is 20 hours, 12 minutes, 6 seconds, with a declination of plus 38 degrees, 21 minutes, and 17 seconds. Give me a moment here, and we will do a longer term exposure on it. I suspect the reason we're not seeing the nebulosity this evening is because of the high, thin clouds. You can see just a bare amount of it right now in a 10-second exposure. We can try a 30, but I'm getting very close to having to curtail the Microsoft snipping tool, otherwise we will lose the rest of the imagery. As it turned out, a 30-second exposure barely brought out more of the Crescent Nebula's nebulosity. Oh, we are seeing some right in here now, so that's a little better, so it probably does extend. But really, it's probably going to have to test more on this to see if it's the high thin clouds or a lack of nebula filter. Let's call this Carpe Noctem just in case, but let's go and have one final view of the evening, a study in Lyra. With any luck, this final view of the evening will not be truncated in any way. It's a 2-second exposure of Messier 57, the Ring Nebula, in Lyra, magnitude 9.4, 86 by 62 arc seconds, some 2,300 light years distant. Right ascension, 18 hours, 53 minutes, 35 seconds, with a declination of plus 33 degrees, 1 minute and 45. Let's go ahead and do a bit of zoomage on this. We're hinting at the central star, which is magnitude 14.5, but it is veiled to some degree by its own nebulosity. I am going to call this our Carpe Noctem moment, and hopefully we will get the entire 16 minutes and 30 seconds into the video. Manana.